Lagos, Nigeria, is one of the fastest-growing cities in the world, with its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets serving as a testament to the country's urbanization and economic boom. However, beneath this rapid development, a harsh reality exists for many of its residents. As real estate developers scramble to capitalize on the city's growth, many Lagosians are finding themselves pushed to the margins, subject to skyrocketing rents, unsafe living conditions, and the loss of their homes altogether. In this video, we'll explore how the very people who call Lagos home are being exploited by developers who seem to care more about profit than people. Indeed, Lagos is Nigeria's economic powerhouse and it is growing at a breakneck pace. It's a city where opportunity seems limitless, a vibrant mix of culture, commerce, and creativity. Towering skyscrapers, luxurious condos, and sprawling developments paint a picture of progress. As one of the fastest-growing cities in the world, Lagos is a magnet for real estate developers, both local and international. With a population that swells by millions each year, demand for housing has never been higher. But while developers continue to build at an unprecedented rate, many residents are being left behind, facing displacement, unaffordable housing, and hazardous living conditions. In fact, for many Lagosians, these developers aren't just shaping the city, they're robbing them of their homes and livelihoods. The rise of real estate development. Lagos has become a prime destination for real estate investment. International developers are rushing in, attracted by the promise of a growing middle class, increasing demand for housing, and a city that's poised to become Africa's next major financial hub. At first glance, this development seems like a sign of progress. New hotels, office towers, luxury residential complexes, and retail centers are sprouting up everywhere. However, behind these shiny buildings is a troubling trend that is harming the very fabric of the city. Real estate development in Lagos is often viewed through the lens of profit-making. While the city's skyline may look impressive, much of this development is geared towards an elite market, those who can afford high-end, luxury living. The average Lagosian, however, is being increasingly priced out of the city. Prices for housing are escalating, and middle and low-income residents are struggling to keep up with rising rent, especially in areas that were once affordable. How developers are robbing residents. 1. Gentrification and displacement. One of the most significant ways developers are robbing residents is through the process of gentrification. As developers move into historically working-class neighborhoods, they often displace entire communities in the name of urban renewal. Former residents are forced out of their homes, not only because they can no longer afford the skyrocketing rents but because their properties are being razed to make way for luxury developments. Take the case of Igamu or Ebute Metta, neighborhoods where old homes are demolished to make room for high-rise apartments and office spaces. While the city gets a facelift, the people who lived there for generations are left to find new, often less convenient and overcrowded areas to live. The displaced residents have little recourse, they are unable to afford the new developments, and in many cases, they aren't given compensation for the homes they've lost. Land grabbing and illegal acquisitions. Land grabbing has become a serious issue in Lagos, with developers often accused of acquiring land through dubious means. Many developers bypass legal channels or engage in corrupt practices to take control of land that belongs to indigenous communities or private individuals. In some cases, these developers forcibly take land from residents, offering little to no compensation or relocating families to less desirable areas. This practice has led to the destruction of communities that have existed for decades, with families losing their homes and livelihoods in the process. The residents often find themselves left in legal limbo, unable to fight the developers who have the financial backing and political connections to bulldoze their homes. 3. Substandard and unsafe housing. In their quest for profit, some developers cut corners when it comes to construction quality. This leads to substandard housing that puts residents at risk. Buildings are often constructed with poor materials, faulty plumbing, and electrical issues, leaving tenants to face dangerous living conditions. Moreover, These poorly built structures often lack the necessary infrastructure, such as adequate sewage systems or access to reliable water and electricity. For residents, this means living in environments that are not only uncomfortable but unsafe, putting their health and safety at risk. But with few affordable alternatives, they're left with little choice but to endure these unsafe conditions. Unregulated rent increases. Lagos has one of the most volatile housing markets in the world, with rents fluctuating wildly due to demand and the speculative nature of real estate investment. Developers, property owners, and landlords often exploit the situation by raising rents at will, without considering the income levels of the average Lagosian. For many residents, this means they're being priced out of their homes with little recourse. Landlords can easily increase rent without any legal restrictions, forcing tenants to pay more than they can afford or face eviction. This trend is particularly prominent in the informal settlements that surround the city, where rent hikes can be exorbitant, and residents are left to negotiate with unregulated property owners. The human cost, Lagos residents at the mercy of developers. The rapid pace of real estate development in Lagos is undoubtedly a sign of the city's economic boom, but it comes at a steep human cost. The people who have built the city, those who work in the markets, the offices, and the construction sites, are being pushed out of their homes in favor of a luxury-driven, profit-maximizing development agenda. For those who are displaced, the consequences are far-reaching. Many are forced to move to overcrowded slums, lacking basic amenities like clean water, electricity, and sanitation. The strain on Lagos infrastructure has led to a city that is struggling to accommodate its growing population, while developers continue to prioritize profit over people. But the issue goes beyond just housing, it speaks to a deeper issue of inequality and social justice. The city's wealth is being concentrated in the hands of a few developers and investors, while the majority of residents are left to bear the brunt of its growing pains. What can be done? The solution to this crisis lies in a more inclusive approach to urban development. While developers have every right to invest in the city, they must also be held accountable for the impact their projects have on residents. This means enforcing stronger regulations on land acquisition, ensuring that development projects benefit the local community, and prioritizing affordable housing initiatives. Additionally, the Lagos state government must take a more active role in providing affordable housing for the city's growing population. Incentives for developers who prioritize low and middle-income housing, as well as policies to protect renters from exploitation, could make a significant difference.